live. I'm going to wait a second here because we're still noobs getting used to all this. So I want to be checking on our different devices here. Looks like we are now live on Twitch. It's going to take a little bit until I think we'll see whether the YouTube is set up as well. And boom, it looks like we are live on YouTube as well. So okay, fantastic. So hello everyone. We are JuliaHub. So I'm Chris Rakakis again. And what we're talking about once more is the Dyad agent-based system for modeling and simulation, right? Basically showing all the different things we could do for building models that can model, real-world devices and be useful, and doing all this in a way that we are, using an agentic workflow. And so we're going to basically build a lot of models live. I'm Chris Rakakis. I have a position at MIT where I've developed out a lot of the techniques behind scientific machine learning and modeling and simulation. And I'm joined here with John. You want to give yourself a quick introduction?
Sure. My name is John Batey. I work at JuliaHub since February of this year. And yeah, been doing some modeling with Dyad and excited to show you some interactions with the agent.
Yeah, we got two more guests with us as well. Anas, you want to start with a quick introduction?
Yeah, my name is Anas. I'm the team lead for AI at Dyad, and I'm also the lead developer for the agent.
Yep, and then last but not least, we got Sebastian.
Hi, I'm Sebastian. I'm a software engineer at JuliaHub in the Dyad AI team, and I'm also working on things like model optimizer and model discovery.
Yeah, so we got a crew here, and let me just talk about a little bit what we had last time. Right, last time we sat down and we built a room model from scratch. We kind of just said, okay, like you got a drum kit right here, we got like a Intel CPU, all these things. What does this mean about a room? How big is the room? What kind of control strategy should we use on this, right? John then went aside actually and kind of built out a more sophisticated room model, and we're going to start from this one and start to dig in. So I have some notes from John here about what exactly should we be playing with today. John, if you want to kind of give like a quick overview of like what model we're starting with here, and then what kinds of things we should be starting to dig into and try today.
Yeah. So I mean, last time we did the creation of the room model from scratch. We considered some losses in the room. We looked at how long it would take to heat up the room, but we kind of didn't really do it exactly the way we should have. We considered only a small amount of the capacitance, which is the air in the room. There's actually some really nice formal ways to actually go about looking at losses in houses, and so we refined the model a little bit. I did it with the agent, not in that last session, but afterwards, asking for a refinement of the model. And so we ended up with this new model that Chris is showing here. And if you expand it a little bit, you can see it's fully parameterized, its dimensions. So we're roughly like 1,000 square foot apartment, but it considers a lot more of the real capacitance that you should look at. Not just the air, but like the floor, the ceiling, the drywall. And it includes a lot more losses and a lot more realistic way of modeling the losses, including infiltration, right? The amount of times the air in the room is kind of recycled, either via leakage or because you're running your HVAC system. That's new air that needs to be heated or cooled, and that's also included in this model. So it's a much more realistic model. We were getting really low requirements last time for heating and very fast warm up, but that's definitely not the case in the current model.
Let me see. So I think that you had a render set up for this as well, right?
For the experiment, there's not for inside the house itself. Yeah, but you can auto layout. You'll see.
All right, let's auto lay out the diagram. Okay, so we can see in here, so there's ambient temperature, there's a temperature in the interior, there's a solar irradiance here, and then we have I guess this is the air in the middle, that's the thermal mass, right?
And that's actually all the thermal mass. It includes more things than just the air now. It's in the calculations, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then we have a roof, we have a door, we have a window. Infiltration, I assume that this means the wall, right?
And then we have The infiltration is the air. Yeah, the air infiltration.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
And okay, well, I guess. Oh, so wall loss is different
Wall
here.
losses.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, it's roof, door, floor, window, infiltration, as sort of the different loss mechanisms now.
Mm-hmm. And we have a heater. So I assume that this heater is it just kind of a model as like a very simple heater? So we're thinking about like a space heater, or are we thinking about something more sophisticated?
Yeah. So in this model, the heating is not actually physically modeled, right? It's just an input, right? So
Okay.
at some point, we'll look at adding something to do a little bit more physical calculation, but from the room standpoint, the heating is just an input. So we'll
Right.
figure out how to provide it.
Cool. I think I got a good feel of the model, and again, as what happens with the last time we did this live stream, we want this to be interactive with the audience. So if anyone has any questions about like, okay, why is this in the model, or if you think that there are certain things that you want to see changed as we're going through and doing things, please put things into chat. We are willing to just go based off of what's in chat and just keep on building out this model, right? So there's a bunch of notes that I then got from you on this, right? So you said like, oh, we could start from this model here, which is the model we were just looking at, right? But now we can go a bunch of different ways. So I was kind of thinking if you can kind of just give a bit of a laydown, like what are 5 or 6 of the things we should be thinking about with things that we should be thinking about with making this model more realistic or useful to a real world case.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the first things we should do is sort of understand the requirements, right? So if we have a room like this, if we have an apartment like this with these loss mechanisms, how big should our heater be to provide reasonable comfort within a particular period of time? So we can do some simulations like that and just explore that space to get an idea of what the heating requirements should be for something of this size. And then we can also go about and add solar radiance as a component. We had sort of played around with that last time. We could also potentially add a heat pump component, something that's a little bit more realistic that will give us some electrical power consumptions for the heating once we figure out, approximately how much heating we might want. And then we can have some fun. We can use the agent to help us do all these things, maybe draw some icons and do some fun stuff.
All right, cool. So before we start,
the first thing I would do is actually, I mean, you walk through the model a little bit, which was great. We walked through the code, but it's not unusual, right? I mean, basically, you saw this model before, like an hour before, right? I would, and I often get models that I haven't seen yet, and I need to do things with. Let's ask the agent to, look at the models and summarize some stuff for us, right?
Okay. Yeah. So look at the models provided in this repository and give a quick summary of what they are about. So while this agent is getting up and running and running its first query here, we do have a question from the Twitch. I'm gonna show it on the stream here. So it says, can you give it some literature or some papers to look at? There's a whole field of building physics. So yeah, I guess John, if you want to kind of say, I think that you kind of just started from something simple or whatnot. But is there literature that we should be aware of or potentially be putting in with the repo that could help out with the model, or do you think that it might send it astray a little bit for this?
There's definitely tons of literature in this space. This model basically grew out of the standard sizing tools for heating that explain the various loss mechanisms, and that's basically the way this model evolved, right, from those loss mechanisms and some capacitance. But I can find a link to that if anyone wants to
yeah. I mean, so if you find a link for that, I could probably take a PDF, slap it into the repo, and we can ask it to check against the standard sizing thing and modify to the model or whatnot, as one of the future queries. So yeah, we could put that in there as a future thing here. So it came up with this quick summary here, right? So it says the summary is that we have a thermal house, which is an open loop, controlled model that has a heater, solar radiance, and ambient temperature, and it includes infiltration, ventilation, solar heat gain. It's air, drywall, floor, windows, walls. So it's mentioning that you got all these factors in here. So it's a pretty detailed room model. And then that there's this closed loop version which extends with a PI controller, right? Last time we saw exactly why you'd want to use a PI controller because the P controller just never got to the right value, and the bang bang had all sorts of crazy things going on, right? So we're assuming then we have a variable rate, heater that we're doing this with, right? So okay, so this is I think that this gave us a pretty decent summary. And where do we want to start?
Why don't we just ask the agent to simulate the controlled model and at the same time vary both the ambient temperature and the max heating the max heating and show us the temperature results.
And just for a bit of flavor, I think that we could probably say something like, do this for the expected variations seen in, I don't know, let's pick a place that might be kind of cold here, the Midwest, maybe Minneapolis. Actually, I don't know how to spell Minneapolis.
We could do Toronto. I mean, yeah.
Okay, Toronto. I guess Canada exists. Yes. Yeah, the Toronto's not in the Midwest yet, but yeah. So do this for expected variations in the city of Toronto. All right, so it'll grab some information here, and it's going to start checking some ambient temperature and show us how we're going to be modeling things around. And it looks like we already have a meme for this live stream. We have someone asking, how many Intel CPUs does this new building have?
there are parameters for accessories and lighting and other things in this model. So
I think you got to call out exactly the accessories. Come on. We'll add. Well, I'm going to add that back.
You can tell it to calculate the accessories from the number of Intel CPUs that you have.
So this week we have a new feature with permissions here, where when we get tools called, we can either allow, auto, or deny.
Yeah.
So you can.
I'm going to auto. I'm just going to auto. Yeah. I mean, this is a sandbox setup. If it rewrites my operating system, that's totally okay as long as it goes faster. All right, I'm going to auto this as well.
And so just to clarify, when we press auto, in the release, it'll be called always, but from then on, you won't be asked to run Julia or compile again. But if you hit allow, only for that instance, it'll allow it to continue.
Yep. And it's going to do based off of, if it's running a Julia command or a Dyad compile command. Yep. I think I got the new. Yeah. And, if as people could tell, like, we are showing you the versions of the AI agent that are coming out daily. So actually, this is a new version that I just installed an hour ago. So, but I've been told that it's everything's going to go super smoothly here. And I mean, you can see, like, what we didn't have last time is this, these different summary pieces, what it's doing, and the nice little dots here and everything. I mean, I think that it looks very smooth and awesome. I'm really liking the graphic design and the feel.
Lovely.
And you can also expand there to see actually what's doing before you allow it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So next time when you get a write, it'll ask you, and you can expand and read it before you hit allow or auto or deny. And it streams too on the REPL. So, on the expandable widget.
Yeah. So so it's saying that a scenario 1 extreme weather of minus 23 degrees Celsius. Is that a Toronto
That's
thing?
cold. That's today, I think.
Oh.
What's today's weather here? Okay, today's -2, but it certainly felt much colder.
Yeah. Okay. Average -6. Okay. That looks more reasonable. So I guess I don't know. Is this like the Toronto all-time low or something?
Well, that's the extreme cold, right? So I mean, it could get that cold. So if you're designing your heater and you want to keep up to that, right? You probably should.
Hold on, I'm gonna on my side computer here ask what is that in freedom units?
Oh, it's 21.2 Fahrenheit, -6.
-9. Okay, yeah, -9. I guess that's I feel it.
Freedom units.
All right, and then while this is running, I guess we could check out a little bit here of some of the other pieces. So it looks like you in the diagram that you had here, right? I guess it's showing a bit of the oops. Well, I guess you shouldn't touch the graph while it's doing things with the model, right? But you did set it up with little SVGs here for the graphs, right? So if we do look at the graphical user interface, we have these nice things that will be displayed if we put the controlled version or the uncontrolled version in here. Were these actually agent generated as well, or
they were? Yeah. So when this is done, right, we can actually go and render the test cases, right, and then we'll see this icon appear for the house, and they were generated by the agent, so it's they're SVG icons. So you can tell it to create an icon for you, and you can interact with the agent. I went through a couple of iterations. It came up with something. I didn't like some parts. I wanted other parts differently, and yeah, you can tell it to revise, move, do different things, and yeah, it's kind of fun. At one point, I told it to generate like 10 different icons for me to review, and it came up with some different styles. At one point, it came up with a house that looked like it was from an infrared camera and stuff. So all kinds of cool stuff with the agent. It's a little it's maybe a time sink, but it was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I wonder what it's. Is there a way for me to tell me what exactly is running right now?
It's just running the using part. So the
okay. Oh, it's just doing the first compile of the whole model and the whole repo and all.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, because I thought I'd already compiled it, but okay. So then, while that's going, then let's see. Okay. So we got right then we got the keyword argument name not assigned. Okay, so because it built the model and it didn't realize it should use name, so it didn't do the modeling toolkit correctly. But it's probably going to fix itself in a second here, right? Let's see. Yeah, so it's just going to give a fake name to the model. That's totally fine. Yeah, and then with the sunlight model, and so we got another comment in here from the Twitch with the sunlight model, you end up needing a negative number of Intel CPUs. Okay, so it seems like by popular demand, we need to put an Intel computer back into this. So we'll do that. We'll do that in a second. But so we'll let this run. But actually, let's actually start to scope out what that's supposed to look like, right? So you said that somewhere inside of this model you have like accessories, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if you scroll up, you're in the test part now, so you got to scroll up to the house part. It's at the top. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there should be some parameters for like lighting and accessories and a couple other kind of standard things that are called out in the manual J calculation. So there you go. People. So there's your place to add in your drummer heat, right? So people, lighting. All right. Appliances, so you can tell it to model. Yeah, maybe we can tell it.
0.0. Yeah. I don't know if the specs.
Well, you're running a requirement for the heating system, right? So let's make it hard, right? Not add heat from other stuff, right? To understand the maximum requirement. So, but yeah, you can either add the Intel CPUs as a separate entity or modify the calculation and tell it to base it off of the number of Intel CPUs in the house. Up to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll do that, and we'll do that in a second here. And so, okay, so it's going through a few different things, fixing up its own test file here, and it should give us in a second here a running version. Okay, so yeah, so it has its results now. I think it's just going to start summarizing things for me. What is it running? Four scenarios or something?
Yeah, you can also collapse them too. I think the most recent ones are probably more relevant. Yeah.
And then it's going to make a big plot of all the scenarios together. All right, so let's start. It's just starting to mull through this. So on an average winter day, so -6 degrees Celsius, the heater capacity is 10 kilowatt. Is 10 kilowatts a normal I guess I only know in terms of BTUs.
Yeah, that's a reasonable number.
All right, so final interior temperature 21.1. That looks about good, and final heater power, yeah, that looks reasonable. Okay, so it looks like it's all in a reasonable space, and we'll get a plot here in a second that hopefully confirms that.
Yeah, so hopefully, if we ran enough range, right, we'll see some heating capacities too low for some ambience, right? So that's if we ran over a wide enough range, and then the transient plots can even, depending on where we started, will show us the warm up time. But I don't know if we said start it at the ambient temperature or not. So they may all start from some other temp.
Yeah. So let me start doing a to do. So the first thing to do here is like add drummer and Intel CPUs to the space. That's just a mandatory thing for any room model, right? So I think that we're going to do this, and then let me just do this as like the to do.md. And then what was the next thing that we're going to then be looking at the model here?
So after that, I mean, we can see the capacities here, and then if we wanted to implement a solar irradiation component, right, we could ask it to do that. We can also ask it to implement a heat pump model for us based on a couple of different ways to do it.
Yeah, implement a basic heat pump.
Yeah.
All right. And then you did say that you want to look at the COP diagrams or whatnot.
That'll be when we implement the heat pump, we can use that. Yep.
Okay, so we did put this time went and grabbed some information for, I guess, the coefficient performance of normal heat pumps from like Mitsubishi and such. So that way it can have some diagram to kind of go off to get a really realistic model of the heat pump efficiency. So we can so use the realistic COP plot. Yep, and if it's just inside of this resources folder, it'll be able to find it if we tell it where it's at. So that should be good. Anything else that we think that we want to get to in this one?
No. Well, once we make the heat pump, we can ask for an icon for it if you want.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Make an icon. It'll be iconic. Okay. So plots is still going here for a second. Yeah, we need to. The next week's version should be the one where we start having images and whatnot, right? So for now it's doing the installation live. So in the meantime there, So what else in the setup here did you have that you wanted to get in?
What you wrote down is pretty much a summary of it. I mean, I think the heat pump performance curve is kind of a nice. It's an interesting workflow, right? Because we can pass it. We'll pass it the image and then ask it to extract some data from it and do some fitting. So that's kind of interesting to see in a pretty typical kind of modeling workflow, right? You have some data in a paper or image, and you need to get it into kind of actionable form for your model. So you can use the agent to do that. Keeps us from having to digitize and curve fit. It's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right.
What are you getting all kinds of fancy plotting tools or what?
I think we get every single plotting tool in the entire world right here. We got everything from the Unicode versions and everything. Yeah, I don't know if it's creating Unicode plots or everything, but it's pulling in the entire world. The agent just wants to be ready, right? It's just every single time, Anazi always asks for like, oh, now make this this cool animation and make a 3D rendering of the building or what. It's just getting ready, right?
I mean, in the end, it's just adding plots, right? Like all this is coming just out of adding plots. So
yeah. Well, I guess the basic plotting library makes sure that it could do everything 3D and whatnot. So okay, so now we're into it. Creating plots, temperature plot created. So okay, so it should start to have this stuff populating. Oh no, it's gonna save in a second here.
Yeah, it should tell you also after it makes a plot where it is, so you don't have to go searching around for it.
In this version, is it going to be now displaying directly into the agent, or do we always?
No, not yet. Okay, it's doing this thing where it's displaying them. Is it saving them, or it's just displaying them? Just you can just hit escape and tell it to save it instead. Yeah.
Boom. All right. So okay. So for an oversized, I'm so actually, is this something that we'd expect, that if you had an oversized heater for the room, it would overshoot it? It wouldn't just a variable rate just kind of try to go flat into it?
That's just the PI tuning, so we can we can ask we can tune it later, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then heater power usage. So okay, so you can see the variable rate here that it's changing its rate, but it's basically at full speed until, well, yeah, and then it gets the overshoot, right? So yeah, so this PI controller is not aggressive enough in changing as it gets close.
Yeah. So I mean that plot should, or any of these, right, based on the based on the temperature, right, it would tell you this wasn't coming. Yeah, I think this was coming from like 60 in freedom units. I think this was 60 Fahrenheit to about 70 Fahrenheit. So you know, for the heaters of different sizes, like that's about an hour's worth to get you that change. But you can see the undersized heaters, right? They might get there, but they might take 2 hours, or some, depending on the ambient, right? That's not going to get there at all. That may not get there at all, right? So, so yeah, I don't think I would want a 7.5 kilowatt heater capacity in Toronto if I'm going to have minus 23 C. So
yeah, that's a very small difference. Yeah. I wouldn't have expected that small of a difference in the heater. Basically, just say, yeah, it'll never happen, and it will happen. But I guess, yeah. There you go. You should always size it correctly. So now let's add a few things here. You know, for the what was the name of this again inside of here? Let me go back to our house.
Thermal.
Right.
It's called thermal house. Yeah.
Yep. So inside of here, you had these pieces that were the queue people. So let's tell the agent for the parameters, make there be 2 people in the house, and one of them is drumming, and make there be an Intel CPU. Let's say it's a one of the i9s. What else do we want to have inside of this room, just to kind of make it be a bit more like there's stuff going on?
So you're gonna ask. So you're asking it to add, or you're asking it to modify what's already there?
Yeah, I'm saying,
or,
just modify.
Or we'll see what it does. We'll see what it does.
Yeah, modify the parameters in here. I guess queue lighting. So do LED lights, do they really matter all that much these days? I guess we can tell the agent, you know, and there's 3 modern LED lights. It might tell us that like the lights, you know, don't matter very much. Like if only if you're halogen. We got another comment on the stream here. It says a heat pump in Toronto ought to be geothermal. I want to see an in-depth model of a borehole freezing over on the really cold day.
We should at the end really try that. That would be very cool.
Yeah, I think when we get to the really cool models, right, we need to start using the HVAC library, right, and that'll give you the more physics-based models, right, as opposed to just the sort of performance-based ones.
Yeah, so I guess with all this, it surprises me that the drummer is like, you know, by far and away, like, you know, but it shows you that, you know, I try to tell people, like, you know, this is my exercise, and they think I'm joking, but I mean, agentic AI just proved that I wasn't joking. So yeah, so okay, so it's adding this to the model. I think it's going to be just changing the parameters inside of here in a second, right? And then it's going to do new versions of the simulation where it's then accounting for the fact that we have some lively action going on inside of the room. So okay, so we're gonna say that this one is done. And the next thing we're gonna then in a second here, let's talk about what we want to do for the solar radiation component. Do we want to give it like a day-night cycle and all this extra features, or what were some of the things that you're thinking about here?
Yeah, I think adding it so that it has a day-night cycle, and you can tell it, you can use Toronto again, and it should hopefully implement something that has about the right parameterization for that location. I mean, it's generic, but
so for the city of Toronto, give a generic days day-night cycle for the solar irradiation.
And tell it to create it as a component, right? We want
create
it
as a separate component and connect so that it is more modular. Yeah. So do you think that query is probably pretty sufficient?
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's now checking. Yeah. So it looks like it did find that correctly. That inside your model here, it should be modifying Q people, Q lighting, and Q appliances, and it's updating the model in the right spots. It seems. Let me just jump right into here and see. Want to make sure this model's doing the right thing, and I guess it hasn't made the modification yet, but it looks like it's saying that that's what it's going to be doing in a sec here, right?
So I guess there's two things that could happen with that query, right? One, and we weren't specific, right? One is change the model. The other is it sees that those parameters exist, right? So it could just create a new simulation, right, where it where it just sets those parameter values and runs again. And I think that's what we got, right? And those plots actually show basically compared with and without those additional heat gains, right?
Yeah. So it's, in summary, not only did it add these things to the model, which let's actually just try to see it in the model here. So if I reopen this model now,
just to clarify, I think what it did was that it loaded the model inside of Julia and changed the parameters there, and then it replotted them. It did not actually.
Okay.
And the reason why it does that, is because if it compiles, the persistent session is going to restart, and then it has to kind of go from the beginning. So it just decided to just use MTK and change the parameters and resimulate.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So we weren't specific, right? We didn't say, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do, right? Basically just create a new sim with these values, or update my model, right? So that it has these changes, right? So it just reran and gave you a comparison of the results. What did it give from a plotting standpoint? It had some bar charts about the heating capacity or something.
So it had some internal gains. So it had effective internal gains on heater power. And so it looks like the heater runs pretty much the same for the first hour and a half here, at least for the standard one. So if you're heating up your home from ambient temperature, then you're going to, I guess, for the first hour and a half, you make no difference. But as you're getting to closer to that to the set temperature, right? The temperature you're trying to hold at, it looks like then it kind of kicks in at about an hour and a half. That what you have inside your room starts to actually matter. It looks like it's actually charted out all the savings for us then too as well, right?
So I mean, it's running at max capacity of the heater plus these other gains, right? So it reaches the set point a little bit earlier, right? And then it starts to back off, right? So that's what those are. That's what those are showing. So you can see the impact of, it's like adding 400 kilowatts or 400 watts to the heating capacity, right?
Yeah, that's not insignificant. So I guess the real thing here is if it's a very, very, very cold day in Toronto, and you want to save on your electricity bill, then you just gotta have friends, right? Or an Intel CPU, or lots of Intel CPUs,
and the drums, and the drumming,
and the drums. So you just gotta tell everyone, you gotta tell everyone, hey, come over to my house. We're gonna play Rock Band, right? And they're all like, "Oh, this is so fun!" But really, you're just doing it. You're like, "I'm just gonna save so much on my heating bill today. Like this is." I mean, like just one drummer. This is already a chord. I mean, okay, the drummer's drumming for like 2 hours in this scenario.
Yeah, nonstop, nonstop drumming.
So
maybe,
yeah,
maybe
you
your
gotta
friends
have a
won't
whole
come.
rock. Yeah,
Your friends won't come over if they know that they're supposed to drum for an hour nonstop. So,
but if they do, I mean, like what's saying here though is like, yeah, the drummer is as just as much as the i9 and the refrigerator and router and
so is that
another
really
person.
is that really a let's
I think we found the solution for climate change. It's just that everyone's just got to pick up drumming during the winter. I mean, look at that 1/4 power change. Like, I mean, that's not insignificant. And we got a comment here. You just got to point the sun at your window. Problem solved. I mean, moving the sun is so much harder though than just forcing your friend to drum, for 2 hours.
And unfortunately, I mean, in the solar radiance part, we'll definitely do that, right? I mean, when we add that component, we'll see, changes in the requirements, but it works both ways, right? If you ever need air conditioning, right? The nice solar that heats you in the winter is going to also heat you in the summer when you have to cool the air. So it's not a free lunch.
So winter is for drumming and hockey, and then summer is for guitar playing and soccer. So let's send over this query now. So for the city of Toronto, give a generic day-night cycle for the solar radiation, created as a separate component and connected, so it's more modular. So yeah, so it's going to then take this and then create this next component. While this is running a little bit, let's actually start to go in here as well and start to say, okay, what are we thinking about with this heat pump? Like, what is the kind of query that you think would be required to get it to start being a realistic heat pump?
Yeah. So
let me put this. Let me drop this to the side here, so you can do this cool stuff. So I can actually have the agent running on the side while I'm over here. So yeah.
So I think the way I kind of like to work with the agent is a little bit more kind of in steps, right? Because it's nice to sort of see and have, you need to allow it to interact with it. So basically, the first thing I would do is just ask it, can you see the COP or look at the COP image in the resources folder? And extract the data and perform and show me a curve fit. So we're not going to ask it to implement any models yet, right? Just do the pure like data part. Look at this, extract data from this curve, fit it for me, right?
And just make sure that it kind of comes up with a reasonable,
right? So that we know, right? Because if we go like right to the end and it's like, oh, put this here, and then you're like, well, okay, I probably should have looked at that to make sure it was, what I expected, right? So we can do it this way, and then we can kind of go step by step, right?
Yeah. Okay. But then what would you, assuming that we get the COP working, I mean, we'll probably might have to do some back and forth here. But once you have the COP, what's the next thing that we'd be looking at?
And then we can ask it to implement a heat pump model.
I got a comment from our backstage which says that, John, you are glowing.
I know. Yeah.
It looks like you're streaming from heaven.
Yes, I know. Let me see if I can change my background. Unfortunately, I do sit next to the window, so let's see. I don't know. Is there a way to do that?
I mean, we did have a comment that is the right thing to do right now. So you could just you could say that you are just being
yeah, I'm just trying to see. The sun can come through your window, and
it is just a live demonstration of what we're trying to do here.
It is. There is a significant amount of snow outside, and it's about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm not so sad for the window today.
Yeah. Ooh, so we did get a very interesting comment in here, right? Which is that so hello, air source heat pumps are subject to freezing and need defreezing cycles. Is it possible to model that? Yeah. So this is something where if any of you ever buy a heat pump, right, and you have it near you, you'll notice that if you ever have an extremely cold day, right, your heat pump will suddenly shoot into this form where it basically starts shaking a lot, right? Basically, so if it gets cold enough, the heat pump actually needs to run a heater to defreeze, right? And then it ends up being a lot less energy efficient in that scenario. I guess, John, if you have more information, that's at least my understanding of that defreezing cycle.
Yeah. I mean, if it's too cold, I mean, it may not even be able to run at all, right? And you might have to supplement with some other method for heating. You can absolutely model that, not with what we're doing today, right? Because we're just making like a performance characteristics type model. But if you do the more detailed modeling with where you model the refrigerant and the components, you'll absolutely see that there would be frost. Now you have to implement models where you can grow the frost and defrost it, right? So you have to supplement your typical heat transfer models to also include the creation of the frost, the removal of the frost, the heat transfer impact of the frost. But those are possible to do, and it is a big need for the companies that are making these components, right? To not just simulate them under ideal conditions, but be able to understand frost and defrost. It does affect how it can perform and how efficient it can be under different temperatures. So. But yeah, this model is not going to be that. It's just going to be a performance characterization model.
Yeah, so we will go into the more detailed HVAC model in the near future. I hear that the agent's not ready to deal with the HVAC model that we have with Dyad. So we do have in the Dyad libraries, right, there is an HVAC model that has refrigerants directly modeled, and it has two-phase flows and all this kind of stuff. We're not going to bring in that in today, right? So, but I think that, as a future live stream, when the agent's ready for that, and it has the information about that library, I think we can go back to extend this heat pump. But I think that, yeah, so I guess for right now, we'll start with this heat pump. But I mean, we could also just ask the agent to see if it comes up with like a very basic, defreezing kind of model, right? Maybe it just says like, I'm going to up the temperature by this, or the wattage by this amount when it goes below a certain temperature or something.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, we can ask, or it might say that you get, no performance under certain conditions, right? And then then you won't see any heater output. So, but yeah, this model that we're going to ask it is more for calculating, because we're already controlling the heat, right? We're going to use it to calculate the electrical power. But I mean, if it says, yeah, you're asking for heat and you get none, then maybe it'll just set the electrical power to 0.
So, Chris, can you minimize the terminal bar thing so that there's more real estate for the
Yeah, I mean, I know that everyone in Canada is always asking about trying to get more real estate right now. Alrighty, so it looks like the new thermal house demo was running here, and it's going to probably get us something in a little bit here on the solar radiation. While I was still waiting on that, so we kind of talked through a little bit. So it sounds like we might want to do a heat pump model. So implement a heat pump model. What kind of extra information should we give it?
So let's implement one. I mean, so let's implement one with inputs. So I mean, we want the causality, right? Because we're currently controlling the heating, right, based on the room temperature. So we want to implement as a component with inputs for the heat, sink temperature, and source temperature.
Sink, yeah.
Yeah, and source temperature. And an output for the electrical power, right? That's what we're going to basically be using this model to tell us, right? Because we had some discussions last time, right? How much electrical power and what control, right? Yeah. If we want to answer those questions,
And then I'm going to throw in here that, add a simple, freezing and defreezing cycle to make it more realistic, right? I think it'd be interesting to add this as a step here, just to see what it could come up with, with the known limitations that we had mentioned, right?
And when you get to that part, I would say let's ask it what it would do. We don't have to implement it, right? We can just say how would you account for, right?
Oops. Insert. And looks like we're starting to get some plots going here. So here's our solar radiance. It's saying 0 watts during the night. Is it reasonable to say 0? There's usually like I guess for solar radiance, yeah, there's no ambient. And it's saying, okay, now it has a winter, spring, and yeah. I guess
what are the magnitudes there for the?
Oops, let me reopen this because I still don't know how to zoom out well in VS Code. So about it says that there's a top of about 500 watts per square meter.
Okay. Yep.
During the winter, at least.
And then the max one is what, like 8? Is that 800 or something like that?
Yeah. That's okay. for summer.
Okay. So it implemented this as a component, right? Or what did it do? Let's look.
Yeah, we'll see this here. So a solar radiance. Let me throw this in here so it's easier to see. So it looks like it has implemented components here that has a real output, which is the irradiance. And it has a latitude. It has things to do with time, so that way you can kind of know, so you can model different times of the year.
Wow, tracking the summer solstice, that's pretty interesting.
I just sort of expected the shape, right? So.
It really went off.
I mean, it just wants to really make sure we're happy, all right? Yeah, it even knows when the peak solar noon should be, right? And it says like, okay, it's not actually at noon; it's at 12:30. Yeah, okay, this is yeah.
But then what did it use for the? Okay, all right, cloud factor, and then okay, there's a sign. Huh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it looks like a rather reasonable model.
I think it has the right shape. Yep.
Yeah. And it gives us a version that has a few different choices for whether we want to do summer, spring, and whatnot. So yeah, so I think that it's in the right ballpark and all. Okay, it did this thing where I forgot name again, but it's going to rewrite this code and it's going to then do another version of this, and then we'll have it in a second here.
So it's adding it to the test models.
Yeah, to the test model that's generating.
Cool.
And then it's having to modify its script. So it's doing a few iterations, and you can see, I mean, it's pretty hands off, right? It's when it's finding these issues, it's gonna try and fix itself over and over and over until it gets to the right thing.
I think it's how it implemented the it's at the top there, right? It has the name.
It has a name in here in this version. Well, this version didn't air with the name. This version was just calling a constructor that didn't exist.
Oh, I see.
Because it shouldn't have a name on the solar radiance, I believe, right? So yeah.
Very nice. So
yeah, so I figured out. It was getting caught a little bit on something to do with the hierarchy of models that it was creating.
So it actually read the generated code, right? It went into the generated code. It saw how the MTK code got laid out, and then it figured out how it should restructure the Dyad file, which is what it did, and then it's recompiling and rerunning.
Yeah. So for people who haven't seen Dyad yet, right? So we're showing you the very high level, like this is the Dyad code, right? Which looks a lot like something like something like Modelica, something like no, my monitor's not turning off. Okay, yeah, something like Modelica, something like Simscape. One of these high level causal modeling languages, right? It lowers down into a form that's more of an imperative language, semi-imperative language, right? This is a modeling toolkit. Right, so if people are in the Julia ecosystem, you might recognize, this at parameters, at named, and whatnot, right? So it's generating modeling toolkit code and then using that as the compilation step. But then the agent kind of knows how to actually deal with this part of the deeper part of the compiler, right? So the agent's just kind of plugged in to be able to use the fact that, hey, like the whole compiler and whatnot is pretty wide open. I'm just going to plug in right here. I'm going to look at the code that you generated and the code that you generated. Because of that, I'm missing a parameter. I'm missing a parameter to this function, right? So part of the reason why the agent's able to kind of work well and nicely is because, you know, once you have everything is texted and it can see all the compilation steps and whatnot, then it's able to just start doing everything on its own, which is quite nice. Because yeah, I mean, as you could tell, this is a pretty laid back way to be building a computational model.
Yeah, it was great that it just went off in the generated folder and you didn't really have to intervene or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen in a second here now.
So what did I didn't quite catch that. What was the issue that it had encountered? It didn't construct the dyad model correctly, or something about the MTK model?
Yeah. So basically what it did was it wrote the dyad model in a way where the generated code nested the models such that you couldn't actually use the name keyword reference properly, something along the lines of that. And so the way it figured it out was that it went to the generated folder to see the code that was generated for that dyad model, to see how you would normally call it. And it saw the difference between what it was doing versus what the generated file expects. And then it's like, okay, well, to do this properly, let me just rewrite the dyad model in this way so that when I can call it normally. And so it went to go do that, and now it's...
Yeah. Well, I think that this solar radiance is not a what's the word? It's not a component itself, right? It's a parameter struct. So this name shouldn't have been in here, and that's effectively what it was kind of discovering. So in a second here, it should have. Yeah, man, I can't wait till this is using the modeling toolkit v11.
Yeah, it's going to be much faster. I would say this is the bottleneck here. Compiling, writing, everything. It's very fast, but it's going to be so good.
So this failed though because transient analysis spec has no field sys. Oh, okay. So I mean, it just got to the very end, and then when it ran the transient analysis, it was so everything ran, but it's just like grabbing stuff out of there. It hallucinated a little bit, but it got a. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable error message to throw at it. It'll figure that out, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll figure out. This will be easy. The great part is that the first call always takes the longest because it starts a persistent session, but everything after that is really fast. So it shouldn't take too long from here.
So Chris, a question in the chat about MTK v11.
Yeah, so okay, so for modeling toolkit v11, basically the whole thing is type stable. So we did a complete rewrite of symbolic utils to be a v4 breaking release. We did a complete rewrite of symbolics to be a v7 breaking release, and then modeling toolkit v11 is built on that. It makes it so that way the entire stack below is all type stable. So then, all of the symbolic operations and everything are, less allocations. And then the bigger thing as well is that they all precompile, and then there's less compilation to be done because no more dynamism. We're able to capture all of that in the precompiled binary. And so it just runs a lot smoother than the previous versions of the compiler. And again, that release, modeling toolkit, it also has an optional compiler pass system. There's a whole blog post that's coming out probably next week. I've already written most of the blog posts. There's certain things going on to be able to get it out. But so the next week, there'll be a blog post that explains everything that happened with it. And it will, but the key thing in terms of the performance here is that, for a long time, the symbolic typing hasn't been type stable because of the way that it needs to treat polynomials differently from certain other objects. And that has just been completely collapsed down into a sum type. And that helps a lot. And there's a mention that there's spam above. Okay, so we do need to delete this spam. I don't know if Anshul is on for that. So I'll do that in a second here while John is going. But okay, so summary. So it added this, this component. I think we looked at it. It looked all good, and now it has created these plots. These plots show us the. Let's go into here. So in these plots, it has the solar radiance, which is this is what we have looked at before, and then the temperature, or no, not the temperature scenarios. Toronto house with solar Toronto house with solar winter. Right, here we go. So we see that with the solar winter, the interior temperature hits the set point. Well, I guess this is about the same as before. Now it's just showing it in a much longer time period. But basically shows us that, we're able to hit the set temperature. And then within 2 hours, which is what we thought before, right? And then it's able to keep it pretty effectively there using the PI controller. But you're able to use less power during the day, but you're still running. You're still running your heater during the day. It's just able to go down a little bit.
Yeah, this is so cool. It was very cool.
But it's interesting that it only goes down by, like a sixth or so, right? Like that's a very minor effect. Well, I guess it's modeling the solar radiation, but we're not changing the ambient temperature during the day as well, though, are we?
No.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that there needs to be a bigger effect here due to ambient temperature, right?
Yeah, the ambient temperature is still just it's an input, but it's also it's being set just to a parameter.
Yeah, so let's actually correct that, because I think that that's probably the feature that's making it so that way it doesn't quite match up what we expect here. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do the chat modding here, but I'll probably figure that in a little bit. Anshul, if you're on, we do need to make sure that we delete the spam that is inside of the Twitch stream there. It's not bad; it's just weird spam. Alrighty, so yeah, so now it's going to create a modular ambient temperature component with a realistic day-night cycle for Toronto. So here, it actually spat that out pretty quickly. So maximum temperature, minimum temperature. 273 is 0.
That's 0 C. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's winter, so I think that.
As the minimum temperature during the winter, that seems
Yeah, I mean, if we don't specify, it's just gonna put in placeholders. So.
Yeah,
but it's parameterized, right? It's gonna.
Oh, okay. So then it's going to say
it's got some cold ones and some warm ones, right? This just based on the parameters, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say if that's your temperature low, then there's no more hockey. So that this looks reasonable. This -9 to -3 hour the minimum, hour the maximum. And let's look at the equation that it has here. It's just a cosine relationship. That's probably reasonable.
Did it create plots of it or no? Did it just use it?
I think it will in a second here.
Yeah.
So what's next after this? Are we throwing the I think was there the curveball of the what was it, the defreezing? Is that next or I see.
Yeah, so this is all. I mean, we still just have a basic heater in here, right? So we're just setting this up to be, now this is Toronto. We got day-night cycle. We got a realistic building. It has walls. It has ceilings. It has floors. It has someone drumming in there. It's got an Intel CPU, right? We got a pretty realistic building at this point. So we started from a bit more of this than the last time, right? Last time we did it directly from scratch. This time we did a expert modeler, and then we kind of played with it a little bit to. I'm imagining that this is your flat Anas right now, right? So
we're gonna have to kick out the drummer.
Well, I was gonna say I'm bringing the drums, but wow, all right. But yeah, okay. So then next, what we're going to then tell it is to start adding in the heat pump, right? So we'll have it get the heat pump from first getting the coefficient of performance information from a real plot that we brought in. So let me kind of show this here so that everyone's back on in the right mindset, right? So we have a realistic plot for the coefficient of performance. We'll have it extract data from that, and then we'll have it build a heat pump model, and then from there we'll see what it'll do with a simple defreezing cycle. We'll see what it makes at first. We might want to then grab something from the internet and throw it in there as well. It's kind of like what we did with here to maybe make it a bit more realistic, but we'll see what it's able to one shot right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I see the issue. All temperature profiles are showing the same values. Component extension isn't working properly. let me fix this in the same way I fixed the. Okay, so it made the same issue that it did before, but it didn't realize. Oh, okay, to do the same fix. So it'll run in a second here and probably just be able to spit out this plot. Yeah, so maybe in the meantime, while we're let me throw this to the side here. Maybe we can just spouse a little bit on what would a simple freezing cycle probably end up being. Oh, that's not nice. Yeah. So what would a simple defreezing cycle probably end up being? Is this something where you'd say that after it goes below a given temperature, you double the wattage or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the model that we're asking, right, it's only about the connection between the heating power and the electrical power, right? So it should, penalize, or well, maybe it won't operate under certain conditions, right? Which is reasonable. Or if it has to do some defrosting, right, then it should provide some penalties. But it's a little bit hard with this model, right? Because the input is the heating, and if it was actually doing, a cycle, it would be a command for a certain amount of heating. But if it had to do defrosting, right, you wouldn't get that heating. So the model we're asking for has that as an input. So it'll be interesting to see how it wants to account for it. It's a little bit hard with the causality of the model that we're asking for to account for it. The proper causality should be I request heating and you get what you get, right? You either get what you ask for, or you get less, or you get none, right? But our model has the other causality, right? Where we're saying the heating is an input, just give me the electrical power. So it sort of assumes it's operating.
I see, and I guess that's the reason why it might be difficult to be adding that as a.
Yeah, I mean, because it should really. I mean, yeah, well, but we'll see, right? I mean, it's super clever and it comes up with a way to do it, right?
Yeah, so that's going to be the tricky scenario of the day.
Cool, it's saved.
All right, so let's look at the ambient temperature plot. So extreme winter down in -20, average winter up around here. All right, yeah, these all look reasonable.
Yeah, it's like between 0 and like 6 a.m. before the sun rises, it's colder, and then as it. Yeah, this
is the scenario that I was imagining. Like, a minus 9 to -3 day, and with a peak at about 6 a.m. 6 a.m. is the low, and then about 4 or 5 p.m. is going to be the high, right? Yeah. That's.
And that's also consistent with the irradiance cycle, right? I mean, in terms of when they start.
Yeah, I think that if you put these side by side, then it's pretty consistent that a little bit past 5 is when all the radiance starts, and a bit right here you have your peak, right, and the radiance is going down. So I think it's found a consistent version of this model.
That was actually that's a kind of a cool implementation of those models, right? Because I think the parameterization would allow you to even change like how you wanted to start, right? Because it had parameterization that allowed it to figure out when the daylight time would be. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so we did get a interesting comment in the Twitch chat here, which said that you could defrost whenever the COP drops below some threshold. So it's like the decay of COP that resets to the baseline whenever you defrost. What do you think about that kind of scenario here?
But this map that we have is only a function of the two temperatures, right? So there is no the real system would see a drop in performance, and that is exactly when you would recognize that you needed to defrost. But this characteristic that we have won't show that, right? It's only a function of the sink temperature and the source temperature, right? But the real system, right, would see a drop in performance, right, for the same temperature difference, and that would be your indication that you need to defrost. So that's the way the real system.
So it looks like y'all want to see the full HVAC model. So it sounds like internally we're just going to need to make sure we get that done, just because that's what everyone wants to see.
and with frosting and defrosting, right? Which is non-trivial.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
But it gives us something to work towards. Yeah. One of the big things I always find out is what should be some of the next things that we're building into the libraries. And I mean, it seems like this would be a pretty nice and fun thing to just make sure that we get done in the library and bring it on here. So yeah, cool. Yeah, so we'll have this in a second here. Though it's failing to find an initializable model with this ambient temperature.
Yep. So now it's just doing its debugging back and forth, tracing through the physics, trying to figure out what happened. It saw that the ret code was unstable, so it knows that it has to look at the derivatives, and now it's working backwards to see which of the states is the ones that's contributing. It found which one is that, and now it's trying to.
Oh, I think I see what it's saying. Is it saying that there's basically
Can we look at the temperature model that it created? Does it have the right units? It does say K. Okay, let's see. Does it? Okay, yeah, it should.
I think it'll get it.
Yeah, it will.
I mean, you just have to. We'll just pray at the altar of the agent and let it try a few things, and it'll come back with the. So I guess it's saying that so it's guessing that the working model also had a huge derivative. Huh. So it had a derivative of 5 times 10 to the 14th at t equals 0. Interesting. So yeah, you can see that as part of the debugging procedures, right? That it's able to take certain piece of the model and start to be able to ask questions of, okay, which derivatives are infinite and unstable and whatnot, and trying to figure out what potentially is incorrect in the model by trying to look for what values are just kind of really out of whack. But I guess there is a huge derivative at the start. Is it this very large values is kind of due to a unit choice here?
I'm not really sure where that huge derivative would come from, but I mean, there's
in the PID controller, it looks like.
Oh, it's in the PID controller.
State 3 PID controller derivative initial. It seems.
Yeah, and we're not even using the derivative control. So.
Oh, interesting.
I figured it out. Yeah.
Oh, it forgot to delete the T outdoor parameter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, because that was the interesting part, right? Because if you saw in his diagnosis, it's like, okay, cool, I got unstable, so let me check the derivative values. All these derivative values are large. Maybe that's the issue. And then what it did is it looked at the original model that ran. This is what we just saw in the logs, and it noticed that the original model also had a large derivative, so that couldn't have been the issue. So then it goes off and starts looking for another hypothesis, and then it figured out that, hey, it's actually this thing instead. So now it's going to run and see what happens. But
yeah, so the actual temperature we're giving it was like the temperature before plus. So we're giving it like a 400-degree thing, and it was like saying, yeah, I don't know how to control this.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, then in a second here, I think it's going to have our version with the correct solar radiance. It looks like it got back to the right. Yeah, was it just deleting the T outdoor? I mean, I think that the way to do that might just be the simplest way to do it, right? Would just be set T outdoor to be equals 0, but.
Yeah, but I guess the query here was to adjust the model versus adjust the simulation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Alrighty. So, okay, I think that everything here is looking good. In the meantime, is there anything else while we got this going that you might want me to kind of just explore inside of the latest version of this agent?
I mean, the first is so the light mode thing is going to be automatic from the from VS Code. So the cog is completely gone. Sorry, the light mode is gone, but the cog that you can press where it shows you your permissions. I mean, this is the key part here. So right now we have everything on auto, but in the future, if you wanted to have it always ask you for Julia or when it compile, or if it's going to write something, if you don't want it to do anything without asking, you can just set it here and keep going. You can also set it at the beginning of the session as well. So that also works. And yeah. And then also there's compacting conversations. So once this thing gets to the full end, before you'd have to end the conversation, start a new chat. But now what you're going to be able to do is it's just going to auto compact for you, and you'll be able to continue your conversation. And that's another very big part here as well. Okay, it threw in the towel hilariously. What happened? It got unstable still?
Yeah, it got unstable here. So it looked like it threw in the towel on that one.
I mean, it doesn't want to infinitely keep trying. So combining both varying and so causing numerical initialization, etc. Just you can ask it to investigate the initialization and make no code changes, and it's just going to use the Julia REPL to investigate everything.
Yeah. Well, but maybe we could take the model as is and kind of go to the next step here, just to, just as a thing, because I think that we did want to show some things around the cop here, right? So I think I'll leave it there. I'll say that we know that we want a better solar profile or whatnot, but we can modify that and and in the near future and have it work through the debugging here. But at least it's not giving us something that it knows is crazy, right? It's just like, okay, I'm just gonna simplify that model out for now and not try to keep guessing. So I'm glad it just kind of said, I realize that you're in a show right now, so the show must go on, right? So we could then tell the next step here that we're planning, right? So we can say, right. So just to remind everyone, right, we have this COP data. So now we're going to tell it to look at the COP image and extract the data and show a curve fit, right? Because we're going to then use this as our coefficient of performance for the heat pump that we're constructing. So it's going to be able to look inside of this image right here, and it's just going to kind of look at it. It's kind of like what you would do, right? You put a dot, and it's just going to extract the data directly from the plot. Yeah, this stuff generally, the reading from plots and stuff, it tends to work out pretty well. You can just, I don't know if everyone has seen the YouTube video that we put out of, we gave it a schematic of a coffee cup, and boom, it's able to use that as a starting point for a model, because it's able to just kind of pull the information it needs out of there, right? So I think it's a very similar thing kind of here, right, where it's saying, okay, I'm going to get the data I need from an image, and then I'm going to start doing some computing based off of looking at it. So it looks like it's going to use just Julia directly. It's going to use least square fit, and it's going to grab this. Just as a ballpark, let's see, the Mitsubishi field trial, I should say, like the temperature diff at 20, 25, 30, 4.6, 4.2, 3.9. Let's actually put this to the side here. So at 20, 25, 30, it says that the triangle should be 4.6. Is that about close enough? 4.2, and then
you probably want a higher resolution figure as well. But yeah, I think this one's a little, at least for me, it's blurry. Is it?
It's a bit. Yeah. I would have probably said that this is like 3.5, 4.5, 4.9, right? It looks like it said so. It's a bit wonky. Unless I'm reading this plot a little bit differently. Let's actually look at the manufacturer's data, which starts at 15, 20, 25. So manufacturer's data, it's saying that at this one it is 4 points. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it's saying that it's up here. I think it's doing a little bit of the read incorrectly here.
Yeah.
But we could probably tell it. I mean, we didn't really tell it which. We were pretty vague, right? Like which curve we wanted. We can tell it probably to.
We could probably just tell it to use the average curve. That might.
Yeah, just use the solid line, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, it's almost done the visualization though. We should probably just. Oh, nice. I think we got one. ASHP curve fit. Oh, that's cute.
Let's see. And that's actually pretty close. I mean, the data points aren't in the sort of same spot, but it seems to have made compensating errors in each way. when it does the actual fit, it's kind of found something that's reasonably similar. Like, let's see if it crosses.
Like the way these images
around.
work is when it gets sent over to the model
Yeah.
provider, it's going to get chunked into like little small boxes, and then each one's going to be considered like an image token that we then. What they do on their side is that's how it gets represented. So, if different resolutions will have different size patches and things of that nature, which makes that part more visible or less visible. So, resolution is definitely a big part in these things.
But I think what it came up with it. I mean, the individual points are a little bit off and jaggedy, but the fit looks rather good by eye. So I would take that. Yeah.
Can you do the query where it looks at the I think that.
Just using the average curve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious because I'm curious if it's from low resolution, if it's having a little bit of wonkiness. By grabbing 3 points each time, it's like kind of averaged out, right? So I'm curious if it tries to grab the actual average, if it won't do as well, just because it's not making 3 errors and normal distribution. The error is 0 on average, right? But we'll see what it does.
So that curve goes like 5.2 to.
I mean, even I, as a human, I'm having to squint on this one. So I mean,
well, I don't know about you, but I've got the gift of one-liners, and you've got the curse of curves. Y'all remember that song? What is it? What? Not keep it. What's the name of that band? God dang it. Plain White Tees, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's it's back in the days.
Yeah. No one really remembers that anymore. But now I'm gonna have to pull that out of karaoke. I'm gonna listen to it all day. We've got the curse of curves right now.
All right, let's see what we got.
Yeah, let's put these side by side. All right. Let's put some little stars in here. It really wanted to show off some pizzazz.
So the blue dots, what is it? The first one is 10, and that is about, what is that? Just under 5. That looks right for the first one.
And then
and then down to 2. Yeah, that looks reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And how did it fit it? What did it?
It used least squares fit.
No, but
quadratic
linear
function.
or quadratic or
it said a quadratic function with the least square fit.
Chris, can you tell it to look at the plot that it generated and fix the legend stuff, because it is a little. Should be able to do that.
Look at the plot that you generated. The legends are a little bit funky. Don't you like nice looking plots? I'll be a little bit sassy with it, and I'll see if it. Maybe they'll tell me no, we're just here for the math. We're not here for the aesthetics, so it'll give up on that.
I'm curious, is it gonna get cute or is it just gonna go for it? It's probably just gonna go for it.
I think it's just gonna go for it. It's gonna take it, and it's gonna be very sorry. You're right. Let me create a much leaner, professional-looking plot. Yes, for the next 4 or 5 years, AI, you are listening to me. Then I'm listening to you.
Maybe you need to put in your preferences. Always create professional-looking plots.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Much better for professional. Yeah. Ooh, professional version.
Ooh, I like that.
All right, there we go.
And that's for folks at home to know that, if your plot comes out bad, then it can always see the plot and actually help you fix it. So it's completely normal.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and
cool.
It shows the equation there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So So let's clean up a little bit here. And now let's go over. So in our to-do, we said then what we're going to implement a heat pump model as a component with inputs for heat, sink temperature, source temperature, and output for electrical power. So let's throw this one right in there before we start.
But wait, but you need to tell it. You need to tell it to use your. Maybe it's smart enough to know to use the curve fit that it generated, right?
Let's see if it does, right?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
And while that's all going, I'm going to be double checking all the Twitch stuff here on the side and whatnot. I'm still getting used to this whole streaming setup. So I guess I did just learn that we have to go into the mod version in order to be looking at the chat to be able to delete some stuff from chat. So I'm not sure what happened there, but now I can see just an empty chat in the room. So I think that I think that can't filter what was. I guess our mod Anshul did restrict for someone from chatting 13 minutes ago. So thank Anshul for throwing the ban hammer down. We have our first ban from our Twitch chat. That means that we're now a real channel.
So
all right,
what are our moderator requirements? Are we allowed to make stupid comments, but not too stupid and not spam? What's we need to have some rules, I guess, huh?
Yeah, well, keep it nice, keep it professional. I mean,
professional looking plots.
I mean, for the people in the know, I'll say I'll describe it like our Twitch chat's not allowed to be like our Toast's Twitch chat for people in the StarCraft community. There's a crew that will know what that means. The Twitch chat can kind of get rowdy, let's say. So we don't want that going on here. We got a nice vibe. Instead, if people want to drop emotes of things like coffee cups in there and everything, like that's the vibe that we have going. I actually don't drink coffee, but that's the vibe we're going for. So okay, so it's now going to be running this. So we could actually then probably inspect this a little bit, right? This heat pump model. So let me close a few things here.
Oh,
so okay,
it was smart. It did put in your COP fit.
Boom. All right. And set operating limits, maximum minimum was 1.5 and 5.0. Let's actually look at the plot again and let's see the professional plot. It says it goes from about 2 to 5, but so it's kind of giving it larger bounds than that, just giving it some leeway. Where did that model go?
So I think that's for right. We didn't say can you extrapolate or can you not, right? So it's trying to protect us, right? So if we give it temperatures outside of that fit range, which is a good idea. I mean, we chose a quadratic function, not a something at a higher order. So but it's always good to to protect yourself outside or to be explicit about how you want to handle it. We weren't, so
yeah,
putting mins and maxes is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, we could. I guess it is kind of thinking ahead and saying like, okay, I realize that Chris is going to ask a weird question, so just in case you want to ask about the coefficient performance on Mars, I'm ready to. I'm ready to put the heat sink there. Though we probably have to change the air model and whatnot, so it would take a little bit more. But okay, so it is finding that below 10 degrees, it's max COP. So actually, I'm changing this around so that to get the freezing and defreezing wouldn't be too difficult, right? You probably just want to say below a given point. You don't just use max, but you probably bump up the max from the max, right?
It's different, right? Because this causality is heating command in, electrical power out, right?
I see.
You really need a model where you ask where it's not just going to give you the heat that you asked for, right? But
I see. So using a causal connection for heat was probably not going to be.
I mean, this is really just the a performance model for the electrical side, right? It's not telling you, can I actually achieve this heating, right?
I see. So it'll always drive it to that heating, whether or not
It's always going to give. Yeah, right. The input is the heating, right? So it's just the question is, what is the electrical power out, right? So this is and that I wouldn't be surprised if the agent was, when it's done with this, probably tells us like, this model is only appropriate for doing whatever.
Now it's writing a final summary document. I told us to make one thing professional. It's just like, I'm sorry, sir. I will always create reports from you from now on.
You scared your minion. Now it's not.
I mean, look at this. Look at this. It's now creating. It's now creating. I should scare it every time.
So what does it do? It's running. Oh, it's running sweeps with the different temperature rises.
Yeah. So it's saying then this is the heat pump performance versus outdoor temperature. And then it's showing it as,
so it's just it's just sweeping the characteristics. Okay. Not connected to the room, right? Just the heat. This is just around.
Yep. So the component's ready to integrate, right?
Nice.
So because I guess we told it to implement the heat pump model, and so it did it on its own. So I guess we now want to probably say connect the heat pump.
Well, ask it to make an icon for you.
Oh, make an icon for the heat pump. Smiley face. See, we told it to do everything professional. Now we're going to throw a smiley face at it and see how its behavior is
going to get super confused by your emoji now. It's like, does he like me again?
Well, I mean, after this table, I think we're back on pretty good terms. Like, so is this a new Markdown render that's inside? I guess it's a Markdown render in the web view of that the agent's writing to or something.
Yep. So basically, the agent just writes response back in Markdown, and we just render it for it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, like the coloring and all that. Who was it? Venkatesh that did the coloring or something? Like shout out to the team.
Yeah, for sure.
We're gonna have to make some purple shirts to go along with this.
Yeah, the purple's nice. I am digging the purple.
This is a good color. It's a good color.
Maybe we need some new JuliaHub swag with drummers on it.
Oh, can we see the SVG? Did it render? Let's see this.
Yeah.
Can you make it bigger? Just zoom in on it a little. Did it?
I mean, I don't know how you'd regularly show a heat pump. I would have just shown like one of the like what they look like, a carrier thing.
Yeah,
or just discuss with it, right? You can literally have a back.
Yeah, you can ask it to make changes, or just say make 5 variants for me to review or something, right? It'll make.
And use some adjectives for what you want, like clean and not.
Let's see let's see where it goes with this.
But it is pretty nice actually to. When you get one that you like, you can definitely, you can say, oh, remove the text, move this here. I mean, you can kind of, direct it the way you want.
I guess I'm just not seeing what it's trying to go with here. Maybe it's a top-down view of the heat pump.
It's just
I mean,
right?
Yeah, I think.
It just I'm sorry. Maybe it's telling it I didn't like the heat pump that it made. Maybe that was a bit harsh.
Now it's trying really hard.
Yeah, I mean, SVGs are going to be a lot. It's probably going to try and do them all at once. But whenever there's a delay between when you hit enter and when things pop up, there's three reasons.
Okay.
The first being a lot of content like this, for example. Okay, so.
Well, this is some, it's a secret society heat pump. This is the heat pump that's running in the free base.
The Masonic Temple heat pump, huh?
I don't know about that one. Oh, this is nice. This is nice.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting one.
I'd do this one. Wait, you like this one more?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of just shows like, you know.
Condenser, evaporator. I guess.
What?
I don't
those
know.
are all
We'll
flags?
ask our resident expert to be the deciding vote here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're all. That one's visually appealing.
That was really nice, actually. When you zoomed in, I didn't get a chance to appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I guess it gets to be large on my computer at all times. But no, I feel like, you see the little fan in here. It looks like a heat pump, like from top down. I'm saying, yeah. V4 is the bomb. Use that one.
So did it add it to the model already, or was it waiting for us to ask?
It was just giving us a few different versions. So I guess there's a schematic one, industrial technical one, and minimalist, thermodynamics, box cycle. But yeah, I think that these are meh. I still don't understand what they're trying to go with that. There's something wrong with that one. But yeah, I think that 4 is 4. This is it.
Perfect choice. It validates you.
Yeah. It's like I gave you number 3 as like a test to see whether you understand what's going on here. All right, so it's got this. So now we have our model with the heat pump, and the heat pump has a nice image. Let's actually. So then we tell it now connect the heat pump as a better heating model to the house and regenerate the efficiency plots.
Wait, what? I'm confused what you're asking it. So the heat pump should be connected to but which efficiency plots?
Well, so just pulling in from the audience here that the audience says I'm voting for the big fan. So okay. I think that everyone was kind of in the same agreement here that this is the winning one. But I just told it, so now connect the heat pump as a better heating model to the house and to regenerate the efficiency plots.
Okay. What is the state? Let's see. What is the state of that model? Is it the running version or the one it was struggling with? We'll see, I guess.
I think it would be the one. I think it said that had reverted all the things to do with the.
Oh, okay. With all the.
Yeah. So it's just gonna say that this is a simple ambient temperature, right?
Yeah. When it's done with this, we should definitely render so we see what we've created, right? What monster we've created.
Monster in me is you. Alrighty. Yeah, so thermal house with heat pump. I mean, this looks pretty direct to exactly what we would have expected here.
Yeah, I mean, we were not. I mean, this is kind of a cool experience, right? We didn't say connect this to that, right? But it sees all the inputs that we specified, right? So it should be able to connect all the inputs that were created, right? So it should be able to wire it to the existing model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the wiring looks pretty decent. I mean, I think that when we look at the image, it's going to be probably easier to eyeball it. But from my eyeball, I don't see anything that looks crazy. And it's knowing to put the name in here the first time now. It's learning. Alrighty, and then we should be getting to the end here. So while we're waiting for this to run, maybe we should pontificate a little bit about like what the I do think that we want to pick this up another time in the near future here, right? Because I want to do this with the real HVAC models, and we will come back then to the freezing, defreezing cycles and all that with the realistic HVAC model and the heat pump and everything having the refrigerant cycles and all this. So we'll come back to that. But in the meantime. What's something that we should be looking at maybe in the next week or so? I was thinking maybe trying to pull in Rajiv and actually trying to build out a quadcopter model and getting animations of the quadcopter flying around with a controller or whatnot, right? I don't know if other people, especially in chat, if you have any ideas of what kind of model you want us to start building out. If maybe look at a Mark Rober video and like recreate it or something. I don't know, but we're taking a lot of suggestions for all the different models to create. So if anyone has any things in mind that they want to do, or we can continue doing the thermal models if folks are very infatuated with thermal.
I really do like the idea of starting from a paper. I think throwing a bit more like throwing a wrench in the process and demonstrating that this isn't something that just kind of works on simple things, but it certainly can start with working at a paper level as well. And we've done this time and time again internally, so it'd be pretty fun too. Maybe even have people vote on the paper that we should implement. I think that would be an interesting suggestion.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. So now it looks like it pieced it all together. Looks like it's running fine, and so now it's going to create these efficiency plots with the heat pump inside of there. And I could see, I guess you guys only get my VS Code window, right? It has made a pretty nice plot already on my screen with the GKS term. So then I guess it's going to make sure to save this to heat pump _ resistance.
Ooh.
Alrighty. And heat pump, so how do I read this? What's meant by resistance heating?
So I think it ran the original sim, right, which just had heating coming from the controller, right? But it wasn't specified.
I see.
So I think it assumed that was the resistance heating, and it's putting some costs associated with it, so it can do a comparison versus the heat pump. They also apparently have different max power levels, right? So I think that's right, because that's what they each go to max power, but those are not the same. So there's a different time it took to get there. But I mean, we weren't very, we didn't say exactly how to specify it. But well, can we look at that plot one more time?
Yeah.
Oh, it's even given us like carbon saving. Oh, is the COP? Is that the COP at the bottom? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Oh, COP is what you can't. It's on the scale that's very low, right?
Yeah, you can't really see the COP, but the instantaneous savings is I guess that's energy saving percentage. So I guess it's calculating, saying, oh, if I had resistance heating as like the flat line of last time, now I've replaced it with a heat pump. This is the electrical power that's gone down, and so this is how much. This is basically, and I think it's calculating out how much money we're saving by using a heat pump.
It assumes some costs, yeah. So.
Wow, saving like $13 a day. That seems like, well, I guess on an extreme weather day, right? So on an extreme weather day, you're saving about $13 a day. But it's not taking into account the freezing, defreezing, right, which would happen on an extreme day.
Yeah, and I mean, to do this, right, you would actually run it with real winter profiles, right? Not every day is the same. Yeah. But that would be possible, right? I mean, this model you could absolutely run years worth of. I mean, there's nothing computationally expensive about this, right? So you can run all kinds of long cycles, see how it does.
Yeah, so I think that this is getting to something that's pretty interesting and useful, right? I mean, I think that we might play with it a little bit and put a version onto the Dyad demos as like as something that people can then kind of run with, right? But I mean, yeah, this gave us a way to look at heat pump, you know, the sizing of our heater, how much wattage we should put into this house, right? If we want to look at, you know, making it, you know, heat up in a given amount of time. And it's even then going and calculating how much money we're saving by moving to a heat pump, right? Using COP curves that we pulled off the internet. So yeah, I think that this is getting pretty interesting. And I think though, to get to the next level of detail, we will need to pull in the refrigerant cycles and such in order to get all the factors of freezing, defreezing correct, right? So
yeah, but those models are definitely more computationally demanding. So running them over longer times will be more challenging, right? But
yeah, we'll probably play with it a little bit before we go live with it. But yeah, definitely looking at we'll definitely look at there. But yeah, I think that might be the conclusion of today's session, right? That buy a heat pump, you will save money over time. And I think the next time, then we might maybe go in a different direction here. You know, if anyone from the audience has any ideas for other models they'd like to see, please just throw it into chat, and we'll take pretty much anything, right? But if nothing else is coming to mind, I'm going to be looking into maybe getting some kind of quadcopter or some kind of, you know, something along those lines to kind of just be something that's a bit visual to play with there. We'd love to hear your thought. Yep.
Yeah, we've done a lot of thermal stuff, right? So it'd be cool to see some mechanical, electrical things, right? I mean, those capabilities are there too, right? We've demonstrated a lot of thermal stuff.
So we'll probably go in that direction. But for now, we'll leave it here. So you know, John, Anas, do you have any last thoughts before we go?
At least for me, I did want to watch it debug the model. I mean, that's one of the cool parts. I mean, people debugging models in general can be very difficult and tedious, and it would have been nice to see it debug the
ambient temperature.
Yeah, exactly, the varying ambient temperature, and that would have been fun. But yeah, otherwise, this was really cool. I mean, if we still have some time, we can tell it to debug the varying ambient temperature case. No code changes. So we don't want it to do code changes, just explore in the REPL and find out what happened.
Yes, I think it's still able to figure out, you know, what I'm referring to back there, right?
That's
yep.
It's pretty far back, right? That's pretty cool, actually, right? I mean, we've done a lot of stuff since then. So.
Yeah, I'm curious. What is it? Yep. Yeah, I was able to go back into there, and it's going to use the forensic debugging protocol. So I guess, yeah, Anas, this is what you're talking about, that you put together these debugging protocols, right? And it's not going to read through them.
Exactly. So the forensic debugging protocol is just this procedure where it runs the model, it gets the error, and it starts from there, and then it walks backwards in terms of all the computations that led to that error. And so at each step of those computations, it'll pause and figure it out. Is there a value in here that's incorrect, or is there something that's feeding into this equation that's incorrect? If it's the value that's wrong, then we're at the step where the error is, we can fix it. If not, it has to go backwards. And it kind of just does this. So I got max jitters here, which is nice, right? Because I think before we got unstable. Not sure what it's doing here.
Yeah, max jitters is going to be the Newton method is just not converging. And it could be because like the condition number is really high. So it actually has a very long, you know, it will take very, very many steps to actually converge. So yeah, so it's looking around and saying, okay, so at T0, it's looking at all the different states. It's looking at the initial condition, the initial derivative. Yeah, this does look like it's going to be. I mean, this difference right here is 10 to the 16th. So this is above floating point. Float 64 cannot actually. If you do this plus this, is going to actually just equal this value, right?
So is this related? I mean, we're not using the derivative component of the controller. Is this basically an artifact of it being kind of
it could be an artifact of that, yeah.
Or wait, it reached it. Interesting.
Yeah. So what it's saying is that, like, although the large derivative numbers, context length exceeded. Okay, cool. Can you, do you have the version where you can do compact? You can do /compact, right? Is this the version you have? Oh yes, you do have it. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, you know, for folks at home, I mean, with model providers, each model has a maximum number of context that you can send over and ask for it to complete the chat for you. And obviously, our issue here is that we've reached the end, which is about 200,000 ish. And so what's going to happen is, you see, it's going to read all your. Yeah, it talks about exactly what you did, where you're at, what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. It's talking about proposed solutions, and you can just tell it to continue debugging, and it'll go. Yep. So before, I mean, without compaction, you'd have to literally close the chat, open a new one, and start telling it, hey, in this last chat, we were doing this in Dyad, and, you know, all this stuff, and remind it. But now everything is just...
Yeah, so it's going to pull everything back in, read the repo again. Yeah, I wonder if when it gets to the continue debugging, if it's going to realize that it means, yeah, continue debugging what's going on with the PID derivative term with the constant after. It looks like in the compact version, it wrote that information down.
Yep. Yeah. So compaction, the key thing is that it stores what the original ask was, but more crucially, it captures what were you just doing before the conversation ended and all the information needed to continue that reliably.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, now it's going to continue, and it's the model that it's calling. Yes, the thermal house controlled. Yes, this is it. Excellent.
Yep.
So actually, last time in the last live session, we ended at the context because we wouldn't have been able to compact. But you know, we've been rapidly iterating here, so here we are on week 2 with compaction.
Yeah, and then week 3 we'll have new features, and week 4, we'll show each new feature as it comes out each day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant ambient. Constant ambient is working, and its state derivatives are 4,000. Okay, it also has a crazy one, but
yeah, and that's the point that I was trying to make. That
mm-hmm.
Usually, if you were to like give this to, you know, ChatGPT or something of that nature, oh, this is a massive derivative, you're gonna have to use a stiff solver, or you're gonna have to rewrite your model, you're gonna have to do this. But here, it's doing the right thing of saying, well, we had this other thing that worked, so there has to be something else that's more to it. So now it's digging into the house with solar, and it's going to do the usual inspect protocol, which is check the balance, check the unknowns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we can see here this is unstable instead.
Let's actually look at these side by side. So 2.6.
Yeah, I think they're mostly the same except the first, right?
It'd be nice if in this protocol, if it actually learned to print out what those equations and states were, right? So that we have names of them. Okay, so PID integrator state starts a lot higher. Yeah. Oh, okay. So the constant ambient before, I guess with the version that it gets from the cosine is just much larger. It's just much lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to put it in the same ballpark to start, and that might be the right thing.
So on the Julia side, I think it's doing all the experiments right now.
Mm-hmm. Y'all can hear my phone. I actually have no idea where it is.
Yeah, I did hear it as well. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, well, that's why I just started searching around. But
and you were just asking if it can show the equations, right? So it showed it in the next REPL call. So you can see here all the equations for it and where the actual states.
Derivative of the integrator state. Yeah, so I guess it was. I guess the ambient temperature that was kind of setting up was just kind of a little bit out of whack.
I don't think it was the temperature itself, right? I think it was how it was manifest in other parts of the.
Mm-hmm.
Should probably.
Oh, is it gonna make it use a limited PI, a lim PI instead? So
it was already using lim PI or lim PID, but.
Mm-hmm.
What's it saying? Faulty configuration. Setting that creates a differential equation with a division by 0. Oh, nice. So proposed fix
because you weren't using the derivative, but there ended up being a division by 0 anyways, and that was throwing off the initializer.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And I guess you didn't think about that value because if the derivative gain was 0, then you wouldn't normally care, right? But I guess it was dividing by 0, so one of the equations just would have an inf in there. Even if it was supposed to be 0 equals 0, I guess it might have been like inf equals 0 or something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. I mean, one. Yeah, that's the fix, right? Just give it a little bit of derivative.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine. Yeah. Or have one that has no derivative term altogether, right? That's also a solution.
Mm-hmm.
The really nice part is how it's using the Julia REPL, right? Like it really does use it as a REPL, and it's setting code and verifying everything before it hands anything over. And I think it'd be very annoying if it kept giving things that didn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or just tighten the tolerances and use a different solver.
Yeah.
Did that work too?
Yeah, it just found out that.
Is that what it tried, or did it?
Yeah,
actually
that's what
change?
it tried. It changed FBDF, and it actually ended up working. Let's see what it's trying to verify the solutions. Default filter selection. Rodos P5 cannot handle extreme stiffness. Blah blah blah.
So okay, I guess. Oh, so I guess what would happen? I mean, this is not really just extreme stiffness, right? You end up having this behavior where it's very close to being an index 2 DAE, probably, right? Because if you have this, if you have this the value that's basically close to 0, then you can have a 0 in your Jacobian, and it could be changing the sparsity pattern. And so Rodos 5P is an integrator that's not able to handle initialization with the index 2, but FBDF is one that is robust to that because of the way that it handles the nonlinear solve.
That is so fascinating. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
such a subtle thing. I mean, that seems like the lim PID thing would have worked as well, right? The solution that proposed, but the fact that it went out of its way to be like, let me just dig into this, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would give the debugging utility a little bit more information at looking at the Jacobian itself as like a with truncation, so that way it says like truncate it when you have values below 1e minus 13 or something, or find it. And then if you look at that and you look at the whether that would be singular, right?
I think that's where the SIML logger comes in. I think that's that's the secret there.
Yeah, because the SIML logger would tell you this based on the condition number, right? So in the next update where we have the logging and condition numbers I can turn on and everything, I would tell it to run this with logging with the condition number on, and it would probably immediately tell you that it's pretty much close to singular, which would then identify that the Rosenbrock method wouldn't be able to handle that case.
But this experience is much nicer with the agent than what it would be if you had to just go off and sort this out yourself, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, sorting this out yourself most of the time. This is the things that people will just post online that they'll have me answer, right? So this saved me having to answer.
This doesn't work. How fix my model?
Yeah. So that's why immediately I can see it right away. Oh yeah, something close to 0, and then it switched out. Oh okay, yeah. It's probably been trained on a few of my discourse posts. So
most likely.
So I don't know there, but it does say that the one that's actually running is this, and this is now working correctly. So okay, so figured it out. So
oh wait, the FBDF?
No, I don't think it worked. I think it still has.
Well, in the analysis, because in the analysis it's actually doing it at a lower tolerance.
Okay.
But the lower tolerance that's going to run at inside the analysis by default is 1A minus 8, and with that parameter separation, you're going to have a condition number that's high enough that you're not going to be able to solve it to 1A minus 8 because you simply don't have enough digits. The condition number, the 1A minus 16 minus the condition number, so thinking of the exponent, 16 minus the condition number's exponent, right? So log of the condition number. That tells you how many digits you have accuracy that you have. Given this, you're going to have probably, you're basically going to lose 5 or 6 digits of accuracy. So your absolute tolerance could probably be no more than like 6 or so. The default absolute tolerance is going to be too low to be able to actually solve this case, just be in float 64. So I'm pretty sure that that's what's happening here. So when it's running the solve directly, it's going to be running this with an absolute tolerance of 1E minus 3, which is solvable too. But then the version that is in the analysis defaults it to 1E minus 8, which for no version, you cannot solve this linear system to its accuracy. With that, yeah. So it'll probably jump around and probably find this, I hope. If not, then we're going to need to teach it about give it a whole class in numerical analysis.
It just there's just something in the docs that's mentioning the RODOS 5P. It should have just used the default solver because the default solver also worked here. That's what it just found.
Yeah. Well, the default solver is going to cut over.
Okay, cool. This should be the final round.
It's the final countdown.
So in the analysis, what is the tolerances versus is it the same as the default for a solve prob without any solver?
No. So we lowered it there because this is supposed to be used in difficult industrial scenarios and such. So I believe that we changed the default there to 1E minus 8, 1E minus 8 for relative tolerance, absolute tolerance. Whereas the default for the ODE solver is the universal default, which is 1E minus 3 relative and 1E minus 6 absolute. That was chosen by Lawrence Champine in a paper in 1982, where he talked about ODE solvers for problem-solving environments, PSEs, where the first PSE was MATLAB, or if I remember correctly, right? He basically made this argument that 1A minus 3, 1A minus 6 is the proper defaults because that gives you a plot where the issues are going to be off in the first decimal place, so you have a value in the decimal place. And if everyone kind of puts their value, if everyone's writing reasonable models for a very simple system, you probably can't see that in a graph. So therefore that is a sufficient default. And that was the reasoning behind it. But, it's that default, I don't know, has actually lived on to be actually to be the best. Again, it was before anyone ever used like a MATLAB ODE solver. Like this paper is written before the MATLAB ODE solver suite was written. The guy is actually the same guy who wrote the MATLAB ODE solver suite. So he did end up creating the suite, and then that ended up being the defaults that everyone used because a lot of people then copied a lot of it from that suite, yada yada. But his pontificating for what default values he used for the tolerances was done before the MATLAB ODE suite was ever written. Yet we still use those values as like the core one that everyone uses. So
so it's getting tripped up over the differences between what's set behind the transient analysis
versus what is normally done on the solve. So when it went back and whenever it used FBDF or it used the default solver inside of the solve without the transient analysis, it succeeds. But then when it uses the transient analysis with the same exact solver, it fails. So I think that difference is
Well, it's thinking the transient analysis is using these
defaults. Oh yeah, see, but it's not using those defaults.
Yeah, so it's now manually setting some tolerances.
And
Yep,
discovering.
okay.
Yeah, so it's doing the best that it can given the hidden fact of transient analysis.
Yeah, we'll have to give it more information on exactly this topic. But
Exactly.
I think it was cool to watch the debugging going through. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it figured it out. Now it's just doing a final little. Let me make sure, and it's pretty cool.
Alrighty, so I think I mean, this will keep going for a little bit, but I think it's found what it's supposed to be doing, and yeah. So okay, cool.
Yep.
I think we're about wrapped up here. So thank you, everyone. And I think next time around we'll get to a different topic here. Maybe something like a quadcopter or something to create some nice animations. I know Anas likes the animations, so we'll make sure our animations folks are all around as well to be able to make a lot of pictures, and we'll have a lot more fun. So thank you all. I have a lot of fun while doing this, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Ciao, everyone.